My name is Courtney Nelson. I'm 32 years old, and 6 weeks ago, I was supposed to get married. I had everything planned down to the smallest detail. The venue overlooking the lake, the white orchids Ethan said he loved, the honeymoon in Santorini I had already paid for. And Ethan Carter was supposed to be the man I would spend the rest of my life with. We'd been together for 4 years, engaged for 8 months. I trusted him in the quiet, unquestioned way you only trust someone after building a life together piece by piece. I was the one who made more money. My consulting business had taken off in the last 2 years, and I didn't mind carrying more of the financial weight. Ethan worked in marketing. He was good at what he did, just not where I was yet. So when he told me he wanted to do a bachelor trip to Miami with his friends, Daniel, Marcus, Ryan, and Tyler, I didn't hesitate. "Let me help," I told him. He smiled, kissed my forehead, and said, "You don't have to, Court." "I want to." In the end, I covered almost everything. Flights, hotel, dinners. I even sent him extra spending money. An early wedding gift. Thursday, the trip started exactly how you'd expect. Beach photos, drinks by the pool, group selfies with captions like, "Last ride before the ring." Friday night, he texted me, "Going clubbing, might be late, love you." I replied instantly, "Have fun, miss you." I meant it. Saturday morning, around 10 a.m., I was sitting at my kitchen island with a cup of coffee, scrolling through Instagram. Just casually, absent-mindedly. That's when I saw it. Daniel's story, posted around 2 a.m. The video was shaky, loud, full of flashing lights and music, the kind of clip you almost skip without thinking. But I didn't skip, because in the center of that video was Ethan, pressed up against a woman I had never seen before, his hands on her waist, her arms around his neck. And then they kissed. Not a quick, drunken mistake. Not a misunderstanding. A full, deliberate, undeniable kiss. Slow, intimate, familiar. My stomach dropped so hard I actually felt dizzy. "No," I whispered. I replayed it, again and again, hoping, no, expecting, my brain to correct what my eyes were seeing. It didn't. I took a screenshot. Then I just sat there, completely still, because something inside me had gone quiet. Not loud, not explosive. Quiet. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I called Daniel. Voicemail. Marcus, Ryan, Tyler. Nothing. 4 calls. 5, 6. No answer. I spent 2 hours trying to reach someone. Anyone. Silence. That's when something inside me shifted. Not heartbreak. Not even anger. Just clarity. At 12:30 p.m., I opened my laptop, logged into the airline account, and canceled all 5 return flights. There was a cancellation fee, $200 per ticket. I didn't hesitate. Then I opened another tab. Venue. Canceled. $5,000 deposit gone. But $15,000 more saved. Catering. Canceled. Photographer. Canceled. DJ. Florist. Honeymoon. One by one, I dismantled the life we had built. Each confirmation email felt like a quiet click of something locking into place. By 6 p.m., the wedding no longer existed. $8,000 lost. $35,000 saved. But that wasn't the real number. The real cost was trust. And that had already been gone the moment I pressed play on that video. I should have stopped there. I should have handled it privately. But I didn't. Instead, I opened Facebook, and I wrote, "Hi everyone, I want to let you know that Ethan and my wedding has been canceled. I sincerely apologize for any inconvenience caused." My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment. Then I added one more line. "The reason for this decision should be clear to anyone who has seen what's been shared publicly in the past 24 hours. I tagged him. Read it once. Twice. Then I hit post and turned my phone off. No explanations. No arguments. No second chances. Just silence. That night I slept. Not peacefully, but deeply. Like something inside me had finally stopped fighting. I didn't know it yet, but that was the moment everything changed. When I turned my phone back on Sunday morning, it felt like detonating a bomb. 47 missed calls. 128 text messages. Ethan had called me 23 times. Different numbers. Unknown numbers. Hotel phones. His friends' phones. The first message I opened read, "Ethan, Courtney, what did you do?" The next, "Our flights are canceled. We're stranded. Call me right now." And then, around 2:03 a.m., "Courtney, please. I know you saw Daniel's story. It's not what it looks like." It's not what it looks like. That sentence, it's almost insulting how universal it is. He followed with, "I was drunk. She wouldn't leave me alone. It meant nothing. Please don't throw us away over this. I love you." The word love looked foreign on my screen. His friends had texted too. "Daniel, Courtney, you need to calm down and call Ethan. Marcus, You canceled our flights? How are we supposed to get home? Ryan, this is insane. It was one stupid mistake. Tyler, you're being cruel. He loves you. Cruel. Interesting word. Not cheating. Not betrayal. Not humiliation. Cruel. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I scrolled. More notifications. People had already seen my post. Some were commenting with confused question marks. Others were tagging friends. And then I saw it. Another video. Different angle. Posted to TikTok by some random girl in the club. Ethan and the same woman. Longer clip this time. His hands sliding down her hips. Her laughing against his mouth. The timestamp, 1:47 a.m. I felt nothing. That scared me more than if I'd felt rage. At 9 a.m., my mom called. I answered. Her voice was calm, measured. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said. You did what you needed to do. There was no hesitation in her tone. My father got on the line next. If Ethan tries anything legally over wedding costs, let me know. I'll handle it. Just like that. No drama. No doubt. Support. It grounded me. Around noon, my phone rang again. Daniel. I let it ring once. Twice. On the third attempt, I answered. What? My voice was steady. Too steady. Courtney, you need to fix this, he said immediately. Ethan hasn't stopped crying. That's unfortunate. We're stuck here. You canceled the flights. I canceled flights I paid for after your friend cheated on me. It was one kiss. You filmed it, I replied. You posted it. Don't insult me by pretending it was innocent. There was silence on the other end. Then he tried again. He was drunk. He didn't even remember half the night. Convenient. You're overreacting. You destroyed everything without even hearing him out. Destroyed everything. That phrase again. You're right, I said quietly. Something destroyed everything. He exhaled sharply. Courtney! I'm not your emergency contact. Figure out your flights. And I hung up. By late afternoon, Ethan's mother had posted something on Facebook. A long paragraph about heartbreak. About young love tested by misunderstanding. About how social media ruins relationships. The comments were split. Half sympathetic, half ruthless. Because by then, screenshots were circulating. The original Instagram story. The TikTok clips. People had receipts. You can't gaslight the internet. Around 4 p.m., Ethan finally texted something different. Courtney, please, I am begging you. Let me explain. Explain what? How his tongue accidentally slipped into another woman's mouth. How gravity forced his hands to her waist. How time accidentally stretched from midnight to nearly 3 in the morning. I stared at the message for a long time. 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, I would have been walking down the aisle toward a man who apparently believed proximity erased accountability. I typed one message back. There's nothing to explain. 3 dots appeared instantly. Then, you didn't even give me a chance. I set the phone down. Chance. As if I had stumbled upon a rumor instead of watched him betray me in high definition. By evening, I learned from a mutual friend that Ethan had extended the hotel stay using his emergency credit card. Apparently, they were scrambling for last-minute flights. Apparently, it was expensive. Apparently, they were furious. I cooked dinner that night. Something simple. Pasta. I ate alone at the table we had picked out together. The one we said would host holidays. Children. Family dinners. I didn't cry. Not yet. Because crying would mean I was mourning him. And I wasn't. I was mourning the version of him I thought I knew. There's a difference. Around 10 p.m., my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I hesitated. Then answered. Courtney. Ethan's voice. Hoarse. Broken. We need to talk. His voice used to soften me. Now it just sounded like noise. We'll talk when you're back, I said. Please don't do this. Don't end us over something so stupid. So stupid. That's what he called it. As if fidelity was a minor detail. As if respect was optional. You ended us, I replied quietly. And for the first time since Saturday morning, my voice cracked. Ethan showed up at my apartment Sunday night at 10:07 p.m. I remember the exact time because I was standing by the window when his car pulled in. He looked different getting out. Not devastated, not shattered, just inconvenienced, like someone who had lost a deal, not a fiancé. When I opened the door, he stepped inside without waiting to be invited. Courtney, he said, running a hand through his hair, we need to fix this. Fix this. Like it was a scheduling conflict. I crossed my arms. There's nothing to fix. He looked exhausted. Dark circles under his eyes. Same clothes from the flight. Same watch I bought him for his 30th birthday. I didn't sleep, he said. You canceled everything. The wedding, the honeymoon, our future, without even hearing me out. I saw the videos, Ethan. It wasn't what it looked like. There it was again. What did it look like to you? I asked quietly. He hesitated. I was drunk. She came on to me. It got out of hand. It was one stupid mistake. One mistake, I repeated. Yes. I walked to the kitchen counter, picked up my phone, and opened TikTok. Without a word, I turned the screen toward him. The first video played. 1:47 a.m. Him and the woman, Lana, I would later learn, dancing, kissing, laughing. His hands exploring her like he had all the time in the world. He swallowed. It was just dancing. I swiped. Second video. 3:23 a.m. Different angle. Him sitting on a couch in the VIP section. Her straddling his lap. His hands under her dress. The club lights flashing like a spotlight on Betrayal. His jaw tightened. That doesn't show everything, he muttered. You're right, I said. It doesn't show what happened after. He looked up sharply. What do you mean? I didn't answer that yet. Instead, I asked, were you blackout drunk? Yes. Completely unaware of what you were doing? Yes. I studied him. 4 years together teaches you someone's tells. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Interesting, I said softly, because in the video at 3:23, you look very steady. He exhaled hard. Courtney, you're dissecting this like a prosecutor, because you're treating it like a parking ticket. He ran a hand over his face. It meant nothing. It was one night. It doesn't change how I feel about you. That was the moment something inside me shifted again. Do you hear yourself? I asked. He frowned. You're not apologizing for betraying me. You're apologizing for getting caught. That's not fair. No? I stepped closer. If Daniel hadn't posted that story, would you have told me? Silence. Heavy. Thick. He didn't answer. Exactly. He tried a different angle. You publicly humiliated me, Courtney. You tagged me. My parents found out through Facebook. I found out through Instagram. That's not the same. Why? Because you were the one being exposed instead of the one exposing? His expression hardened slightly. You stranded us in another state. I canceled flights I paid for after you cheated on me. It was one kiss. It was ours, Ethan. He blinked. What? I opened another screenshot. Snapchat location history. Sent anonymously to me that afternoon. His Bitmoji. At Lena's hotel. 3:30 a.m. to 7:45 a.m. His face drained of color. You went home with her. He didn't speak. You spent the night with her. It's not what you think, he whispered. I actually laughed then. A short, sharp sound that didn't feel like it came from me. You're really going to say that? He paced now. I was drunk. Things blurred. I don't even remember leaving the club. Then how did you find her hotel? No answer. Did she drag you there too? He slammed his hand against the counter. Why are you being so cold? Because warmth is for people who are safe, I thought. You didn't just cheat, I said quietly. You chose to cheat. Over and over, for hours. He shifted again. New tactic. Tears. I love you, he said. I want to marry you. Don't throw away 4 years over one mistake. I'm not throwing away 4 years, I replied. I'm choosing not to start a marriage built on lies. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. I'll go to therapy. I'll quit drinking. I'll cut off every friend who was there. I'll do anything. Anything. But he hadn't done the one thing that mattered. Take responsibility. You don't even sound sorry, I said. I'm sorry. You sound sorry that your life imploded, not sorry that you betrayed me. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. I didn't think you'd find out. There it was. The truth. Raw. Ugly. Honest in the worst way. He hadn't been reckless. He had been confident. Confident I would never know. Confident I would forgive. Confident I would stay. Something fragile inside me shattered then. Not love, but illusion. I need you to leave, I said. He stared at me. Where am I supposed to go? I gave up my lease. I was moving in here after the wedding. That was before. Courtney, please. I walked to the door and opened it. The wedding is canceled. We are done. He stood there for a long time, waiting, maybe expecting me to soften, to cry, to break. I didn't. Finally, he grabbed his bag. At the door, he turned back. You're going to regret this. I met his eyes. No, I said calmly. I'm not. He left. The door clicked shut. The apartment felt enormous, echoing, too quiet. I slid down against the door and finally let the tears come. Not because I missed him, but because I understood, fully, completely, the man I was going to marry never actually existed. Monday morning, I thought the worst of it was over. The wedding was canceled. Ethan was gone. The narrative was messy but stabilizing. I was wrong. At 11:12 a.m., I got a call from an unknown number. I almost ignored it. Something told me not to. Hello? A pause. Courtney, it's Daniel. His voice sounded different. Not defensive. Not angry. Uneasy. What do you want? I asked. Can we meet? Just coffee. There's something you need to know about Miami. I considered hanging up, but curiosity is a dangerous thing, and something in his tone felt heavy. Fine, I said, 1 hour. We met at a coffee shop near my office. Daniel looked like he hadn't slept either. He didn't waste time. Ethan isn't telling people the full story. I folded my hands on the table. Go on. He exhaled. First, he wasn't blackout drunk. I didn't react. He had 4, maybe 5 drinks. same as the rest of us. He was coherent, walking straight, talking clearly. Okay. Second, he approached her. That landed differently. What? He saw Lena at the bar. He pointed her out, said she was ridiculously hot. Then he went over and started flirting. The words didn't hurt. They clarified. At first, we thought he was just joking, Daniel continued. You know, harmless flirting. But then it escalated. He pulled out his phone. I need to show you something. Group chat screenshots. Between the four of them that night, Ryan, should we stop him? He's getting pretty handsy. Marcus, he's a grown man. Let him live. Tyler, this is getting messy. Daniel, I'm going to say something. Marcus, don't be dramatic. I looked up. You tried to stop him? Daniel nodded slowly. I pulled him aside, told him he was crossing a line. What did he say? Daniel hesitated. Then quietly, he said, Courtney isn't here. What she doesn't know won't hurt her. There it was, the sentence that rewrote everything. I felt it physically, like a cold hand pressing against my spine. He hadn't stumbled. He hadn't lost control. He calculated. And when I tried again later, Daniel continued, he told me to mind my own business. Said this was his last free weekend before being locked down. Locked down. I stared at the table. My engagement ring left a faint indentation in the wood from where my hand rested. He left the club with her, Daniel said. I know. He blinked. You know? I showed him the Snapchat location screenshot. He went pale. Yeah, he didn't come back to our room that night. Came back around 8 in the morning, showered, acted normal. And you all just kept it quiet? Marcus and Ryan said it was none of our business. Guy code. Tyler and I disagreed. And the video? I filmed it because I thought if Ethan saw it sober, he'd realize how bad it looked and tell you himself. But you posted it. I meant to send it to our group chat. I was drunk. I hit the wrong button. By the time I realized, it was already out. Silence settled between us. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Daniel's jaw tightened. Because after you canceled everything and we got stuck there, Ethan lost it. How? He blamed me. Said I sabotaged him. Said I wanted you for myself. He gave a short, humorless laugh. He told the guys I filmed it on purpose to break you up. Of course he did. When we confronted him about spending the night with her, Daniel continued, he said it was a mistake and begged us not to tell you. Said you'd never find out. But I did. Yeah. Daniel looked at me carefully. Courtney, he was never going to tell you. I already knew that. But hearing it confirmed did something irreversible. It closed a door inside me, permanently. Where do things stand with your friend group? I asked. There isn't one anymore, Daniel said quietly. After Ethan accused me of sabotaging him, Tyler backed me up. Marcus and Ryan defended Ethan. It blew up. So he's still lying. Daniel nodded. He's telling people you're controlling, that you overreacted, that you humiliated him over innocent dancing. I almost smiled. Innocent dancing. With a hotel checkout at 7:45 a.m. Thank you for telling me, I said. Daniel hesitated. There's one more thing. My stomach didn't even tighten this time. What? He said, give it a month, that you'd calm down, that you always forgive him. I went very still. Those were his words? Yeah, not regret, not accountability, strategy. He thought I would fold. He thought I would miss him enough. He thought I was predictable. Daniel left shortly after. I stayed in that coffee shop long after my cup was empty. 4 years replayed in my mind. The small arguments I'd brushed aside. The subtle times he pushed boundaries and I rationalized. The charm. The confidence. The entitlement disguised as charisma. This wasn't about alcohol. It wasn't about temptation. It was about character. And character doesn't change because a wedding date is approaching. It just gets revealed. I texted my lawyer that afternoon. Asked him to confirm Ethan had no legal grounds regarding the wedding cancellations. He replied within the hour. I was protected. Then I did something strategic. I forwarded Daniel's screenshots to my parents. Not out of revenge. Out of preservation. Because if Ethan was going to rewrite the story, I would not be silent. That night I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't stalk his social media. I felt something far more powerful. Certainty. And certainty is quiet. By Tuesday, I thought there was nothing left to surprise me. I was wrong again. At 2:18 p.m., while I was reviewing a contract at work, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Miami area code. I stared at it for a long second before answering. Courtney? Male voice, calm, measured. Yes. This is Lena. The room seemed to tilt slightly. The woman from the videos. The one Ethan had chosen over me for a night. I hope this isn't weird, she continued. I just found out he was engaged. I leaned back in my chair. How did you find out? He showed up at my apartment yesterday. Of course he did. Apparently, he flew back to Miami on Monday, she said. He told me his psycho ex-fiancé freaked out over innocent dancing and that he was single now. Psycho. There it was. And what did you tell him? I asked. At first, she exhaled, I was open to seeing him again. I mean, we had fun that night. Fun. Such a soft word for destruction. But something felt off, she continued. So I looked him up, found your Facebook post, found the videos, the comments. Silence. He lied to me, she said flatly. Told me he was single at the club. I would never have hooked up with him if I'd known he was about to get married. I believe you, I said. I confronted him, she went on, and that's when it got strange. How? He said you were emotionally abusive, that the reason he acted out in Miami was because he felt trapped. I actually laughed. Not bitter, not angry, just incredulous. Did he now? Yeah, he said you controlled the money, the decisions, that the wedding was all about you. Interesting. I had funded the trip, paid for most of the wedding, but in his version, I was the tyrant. And then, Lena continued carefully, he asked if he could stay with me for a few days while he figured things out. I closed my eyes briefly. And when you said no, he offered to compensate me. The word hung in the air. He said we already had chemistry, that maybe we could continue where we left off. My stomach turned, not from jealousy, from disgust. And when I refused, she added, he said, Courtney will take me back eventually. She always does. I just need to let her cool down and play the victim a little. That was the moment something inside me went completely still. No ache, no fury, just ice. Those were his exact words, I asked. Yes, I thanked her. Truly. Not for the pain, but for the truth. After we hung up, I stared at my computer screen for several minutes without seeing it. He hadn't just cheated. He hadn't just lied. He had been strategizing, confident, certain, convinced I would bend, that I would doubt myself, that I would miss him enough to erase what he'd done. He miscalculated. That evening, Daniel texted me. Did Ethan go back to Miami? Yes. He's telling people you tracked Lena down and turned her against him. Of course he was. Now I was the manipulator. The stalker. The villain. Apparently, Ethan had called Marcus and Ryan claiming I was using my connections to ruin his life. The delusion would have been impressive if it wasn't so pathetic. Then, Thursday morning, my phone lit up again. Ethan, another unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But I did. How could you? He demanded immediately. How could I what? Talk to Lena. Poison her against me. She called me. You're lying. Ethan, I said calmly, I don't need to sabotage you. You're doing that perfectly on your own. You destroyed my fresh start. Your fresh start? I repeated, with the woman you cheated on me with? That's not fair. What part isn't fair? The cheating, the lying, or the part where you tried to move into her apartment? He went quiet. Then, you broke up with me. I'm allowed to move on. By telling her you were single before you slept with her? I never lied. You told her you weren't engaged. Silence. I am single now, he muttered. You became single because you betrayed me. The conversation went in circles. He deflected, minimized, rewrote. Finally, he said something that sealed it. You're ruining my life over one mistake. No, I replied. You're experiencing consequences. I hung up. Friday morning, I woke up to a notification. Ethan had tagged me in a Facebook post. It's been 3 weeks since my life was destroyed by someone who claimed to love me. He painted himself as abandoned, humiliated, emotionally abused, claimed I'd stranded him, that I'd turned everyone against him, that he lost work opportunities because of her public meltdown. 47 comments. I read them slowly. His college friend. We saw the videos, man. A mutual acquaintance. You cheated 3 weeks before your wedding. My cousin. Courtney dodged a missile. Even Marcus, who had defended him in Miami, commented, Ethan, I love you, but you need to stop. You messed up. Own it. That comment had over 20 likes. An hour later, the post was gone. Deleted. Just like that. Because the narrative he tried to spin wouldn't hold. Truth has a way of anchoring itself. Sunday morning, my mom forwarded me a message Ethan had sent her privately. He claimed I'd always been controlling, that I made him feel small, that his mistake was a cry for help. He said he was scared of me. Scared. I showed the message to my father. He didn't raise his voice, didn't curse. He simply said, people who can't own their behavior will invent villains. And that was it. The collapse wasn't explosive. It was slow. Friends distancing themselves. Group chats going silent. People choosing neutrality over loyalty. Ethan didn't lose everything because of me. He lost everything because the truth kept surfacing, and he couldn't outrun it. 3 weeks after the wedding was supposed to happen, the silence settled. Not the chaotic silence of unanswered calls. Not the sharp silence of confrontation. A different kind. Peaceful. Ethan moved back to his hometown upstate. I heard it from Daniel. Apparently, Marcus and Ryan finally cut him off after he tried to get them to lie to his therapist, claiming I had emotionally manipulated him into cheating. Self-defense. That's what he apparently called it. Cheating is self-defense. The mental gymnastics would have been impressive if they weren't tragic. Daniel texted me one last update. He tried to get us to say you were abusive. When we refused, he lost it. We're done. I read the message twice, then locked my phone. No triumph, no satisfaction, just confirmation. The man I loved had dismantled himself, and I hadn't needed to lift a finger. One afternoon, while reorganizing my closet, I found my wedding dress, still in the garment bag, untouched. I unzipped it slowly, ran my fingers along the lace. 6 months ago, I'd stood in front of a mirror, imagining walking toward Ethan, believing I was stepping into something permanent. I didn't cry. I folded the dress carefully and set it aside, not as a symbol of failure, as evidence of growth. Because here's the truth no one talks about. The hardest part wasn't losing Ethan. It was accepting that the future I imagined with him was built on a version of him that didn't exist. I replayed our last conversation in my mind sometimes. You're going to regret this. He had said it with such certainty, as if regret was inevitable, as if I would wake up one morning desperate to undo my boundaries. But regret requires doubt, and doubt requires confusion. I had neither. Work filled my days, contracts, meetings, deadlines. For the first time in months, I wasn't planning seating charts or tasting menus. I was planning expansion, growth, myself. I started therapy too, not because I thought I'd done something wrong, but because I wanted to make sure I never ignored red flags again. Because looking back, there had been moments, small dismissals, subtle entitlement, tiny fractures I had smoothed over with love. Love is powerful, but it's not a repair kit for character. About a month later, I went on my first date. Nothing serious, just dinner. He was kind, grounded. He asked questions and actually listened to the answers. When he walked me to my car, he didn't assume. He waited. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something soft instead of sharp. Not attachment, not hope, just possibility. Ethan texted once more after that. A simple message. I hope you're happy. I stared at it, thought about responding, thought about explaining everything one last time. But explanations are for people who want truth, not for people who want leverage. So I blocked the number. And that was the end. 3 weeks before my wedding, I discovered my fiancé kissing another woman in a club I had paid for him to visit. 3 weeks later, I understood something far more important. He didn't ruin my life. He revealed it. Because sometimes the worst moment of your life is actually the moment you're spared something worse. I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. And freedom, I've learned, is quiet.